These dogs. Oh, hello. Sorry, you caught me doing some light reading. My name's Scott. I'm Derek's younger brother. Some of you know me as Derek's better looking brother. My wife. My wife was the one that said that. Anyways, I've been seeing many online posts from people praising the man that we're all obligated to celebrate today because of the momentous milestone of turning the ripe old age of 40. Well done, Derek. What a great flippin' accomplishment. Some of these posts have been nice, kind, and flattering, while others have been honest. I don't want to sound bitter or cynical. It's not uncommon, though, for younger siblings to grow up with a certain level of dislike for the oldest in the family. But typically, there's still an air of respect naturally commanded by the eldest. And even though Derek was generally disliked by his siblings because of his pestering personality and poor personal hygiene, his brothers and sisters could still often be heard saying things like, "Derek, I hate you." Listen, most of you know I'm kidding around. I don't want you to get the wrong impression. We all love Derek. But now I'm faced with the task of finding something to share about my dear older brother, and I'm not sure the best way to go about this. So I began to rack my brain of its limited resources, trying to think of what I could write. And I know that there are many of you looking forward to hearing some insights that I've accrued after spending my entire childhood growing up alongside this man that we're now celebrating. And then it hit me. I don't need to write anything down because I already have. This would be the perfect opportunity to read from a book that I've already written on this very subject. My book is entitled Living with Derek, a harrowing tale of hardships, challenges, and survival. The foreword has been written by fellow author and fellow younger brother Greg Slingerland. Greg writes, "This book is a must-read for anyone who's had to live under the tyrannical reign of an older sibling whose life goal is to create and sustain terror within the family unit. This book may cause you to cry, but it will also cause you to weep and to shudder. A real page-turner." I wasn't sure which chapter to read from, but given the light-hearted nature of what we're all doing here, I've decided to read from chapter 6. This chapter is entitled Derek, the Sucker. Let's begin. As a family, one thing we've always loved is practical jokes. Because we were always seeking some sort of revenge on Derek, he often ended up being the target of our scheming. It wasn't always revenge, though. Sometimes it was a preemptive strike. In any case, any prank played on Derek was usually well justified. In the Slingerland family, our jokes often seemed strange or juvenile to many from the outside. I remember telling my friends about the hilarity of some of my pranks only to be met with furrowed brows. Frankly, I don't care. I'm going to tell you about some of my favorites. The first one I'll tell you about came to Greg and myself while we were doing the dishes in the kitchen. Derek was downstairs in his lair listening to Solitudes on his Sanyo CD player. I've got a whole other chapter on Derek and his solitudes. Derek's backpack and his school supplies were left unattended. I looked at Greg and said, "We need to play a prank on Derek." The wheels in my head began to turn slowly. I stared at his backpack and then at my surroundings. My eyes settled on a large, old, rotten grapefruit sitting in our fruit bowl. I looked at it. "Not even Derek would eat that," I muttered to Greg. "Yeah, we should probably throw it away," Greg replied. I looked at Derek's backpack. No, I said. "Throwing it away would be a waste. I've got an idea." And a plan was quickly hatched. We pulled out his pencil case from his backpack and emptied the contents. Then we took his various pens and pencils and jammed them into the old rotten grapefruit. Next, we took the grapefruit with all his pens and pencils impaled through it, and then we jammed it back inside his pencil case and zipped it shut, placed it back inside his backpack. Now, I know on the surface this joke seems fairly odd, but just picture a scenario when you're sitting in class and the teacher tells everyone to pull out their notebooks and pens, and the awkward guy next to you pulls out a pencil case, proceeds to unzip it, and pull out this old rotten grapefruit with all his writing utensils jammed through it. How would you explain that? That night, Greg and I fell asleep into our shared bedroom filled with joy and mirth, thinking about the scenario that was to unfold the next day. Derek never acknowledged the pencil case grapefruit, and we never brought it up. About a week later, Greg and I had another stroke of brilliance. This time we took his binder, and we found a stale loaf of bread, and we taped all the slices over top of his assignments that he'd completed for homework that evening. Once again, we went to bed laughing at the hilarious scenario of the teacher telling everyone to open up their binders to last night's homework. And as the teacher walked around the classroom, going from desk to desk, checking students' homework only to have the classroom weirdo open his binder to expose about 10 bread slices taped over all his various worksheets. Or imagine a student coming home from school and his mom says, "How was school today, sweetie?" "Well, I was sitting beside Derek again today. Do you remember last week I told you about how he had an old rotten grapefruit in his pencil case? Well, today he had slices of bread taped over top of his homework assignments in his binder. I used to think he was kind of strange because of the whole bird obsession thing, but it turns out this guy is completely nuts. To this day, I can scarcely think about this story without cracking up. I know what you're all thinking right now. Didn't Derek ever play any pranks on you? Well, he did. And his jokes were certainly not as brilliantly refined or as choreographed as ours were on him, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you of at least one time where I was the butt of one of Derek's jokes on me. It was a Friday evening, mid-December, during the winter of 1999. Greg and I found ourselves at the Penn Center shopping mall doing some last-minute Christmas shopping. In St. Catharines in 1999, the Penn Center was the only game in town when it came to Christmas shopping, and so the mall was packed. Parking spaces were sparse. After much searching, Greg and I finally found a parking spot nowhere near the mall entrance, and I guided my dad's blue 1988 Passport Optima into it. As a quick sidebar, if you're wondering what a Passport Optima is, you're certainly not alone. It was not a nice car. It was an old, rattling hatchback. The heat didn't work. The fan didn't work. The windows didn't open. It had no power steering. In fact, it had very little steering of any kind. It was a 4-speed manual that Derek had learned to drive stick on, so the clutch was also burned out too. But it got Greg and me to the mall so we could get a nice pair of earrings for Mother and a nice gray waffle shirt for Father. Anyways, after all this, we went back to where we'd parked the Optima. Little did we realize our ride would not be where we had left it. You see, while we were purchasing our wares, unbeknownst to us, Derek had come to the mall as well. Derek happened upon the car and recognized it right away because I'm pretty sure that was the only Passport Optima that had ever been manufactured. He also happened to have a key to the car with him. All of this to say that Derek hopped into the Optima and moved it to the opposite side of the mall. Greg and I finished our shopping and we were wandering around the parking lot in the area where we were both sure we had parked it. No Optima to be found. I know that Derek was hoping we'd think the car was stolen. That thought never crossed my mind. I couldn't imagine many car thieves willing to risk jail time to steal a Passport Optima. I knew immediately that this had the stink of Derek written all over it. After about 45 minutes of wandering around the parking lot, we located the car and made our way home. Derek was still out by the time we got back to the house. I went downstairs to our bedroom. By this chapter in our lives, Derek and I shared our bedroom, so to spruce up the decor in a typical teenage fashion, we had a large stop sign hanging on the wall. I took the sign off the wall, slid it under his bedsheet, and then climbed into bed and waited. Before too long, Derek came home and burst into our room and immediately began har-harring and yucking it up. "Did it take you a while to find the car?" he jested with a hearty belly laugh. "Oh, what a great joke I played on you guys." I looked at Derek and said, "Oh, did you move the car? I thought we'd just forgotten where I'd parked it. It did take us an extra 5 minutes to find it." "Good one. See, you can be funny too sometimes." I turned over to go to sleep. Derek was not buying what I was selling. "I'm so sure it only took you 5 minutes to find it." He was still laughing at his own genius as he triumphantly flopped backwards onto his bed. There was a loud clang followed by an "Ah! There's a flippin' stop sign under my flippin' sheet." I said nothing as I smiled, closed my eyes, and fell into a deep and dreamless sleep. Thus far the reading. Well, Derek, I've certainly been enjoying reading these posts. They've been bringing back a lot of great memories, and I enjoyed reminiscing as I thought about some stories to tell. And through it all, I just need to say that you probably never realized fully how much respect I actually have had for you, and certainly not realized how great an impact you've had on my life. And I just wanted to let you know that you've always, well, not always, the beginning was a little rough. But as time went on, you grew to be a great example, a great godly example of what it meant to be a brother, a friend, and then later a great husband and a godly father. And I just, wanted to wish you congratulations on your 40th birthday. And we all hope that God will bless you with many more. Thanks. God bless. I'm sorry, I almost forgot. Val, congratulations on your husband's birthday as well.